able to do that to a carry.
And that poses a different question now for RRQ, the flexibility of the jungler flexibility diff between Fursic as well as Taz. The way that he can actually be last pick, utilize several different heroes, it gives EVOS, honestly, another layer that they can work around with. Meanwhile, RRQ, they're kind of stuck with only 3. Baxia, Fredrin, and perhaps even the Martis pick up here for Fursic.
And one more thing I do want to add before we talk about the drafts here. The Helkert pick was great because the other picks already kind of forced Skylar to go for Flicker, right?
Sir,
If you go for Purify, you can actually purify the silence from Helkert's kit. So the fact that he went for the Flicker, it actually hurt him much more. He wasn't able to get out of the silence and pop that Wind of Nature.
And with that, let's see how this drafting phase unfolds, because it's going to come back down to this once again. EVOS and RQ, they've actually swapped sides here, and the drafts, the bans coming in, quite peculiar. Kadita, Baxia once again respected away from RQ. Meanwhile, Joy and Franny. So Ling still available here from RQ. Claude taken away as well from Skylar. Do RQ, they can't ban out of Helkert first phase. It's too expensive.
And they might ban out something against Stave of Aggression. I get the feeling that they were really feeling the lack of impact that Naomi had in that game. On the Grok, he still was able to get pickoffs, but Grok is not meant to be a pickoff hero. And I think they were really feeling it. They're really wishing that they had a hook, they had a Divine Judgment, something of that nature. Well, now they ban out the Eve instead to deny that slow potential, the kite back potential maybe. And RRQ, I think they're going to prioritize the roam a bit more than in the first game. Because honestly, early on, it was still okay when they were spreading out. They sent Banana as the outlier, right? Standing on the sides of EVOS. But as a result, Naomi had to pick. Does he want to engage? Does he want to frontline? Or does he want to protect the backline? And having to do 2 of those jobs at the same time is a bit too much, I think, for Naomi. So I think they're going to try and find a composition that's a bit more balanced.
The way they're drafting now, though, it's still the same routes. There's no changes whatsoever for the side of EVO's Legends. They lose out on the Eve pick, so they go for the Valentina first pick. But this does give RRQ a chance to go for the Beatrix here. They can go for the Beatrix and maybe the Kaja this time around, securing 2 good picks for Skylar and Naomi.
I also want to point out that Ling is open this time around, right? So that's definitely something that can be tossed up between both of these teams. They go for the Paquito for Banana, once again a power hero for him, and they go for the Beatrix.
It's kind of funny, right? Skylar was saying, I have plenty of other marksmen. He picks the carry, doesn't succeed, goes back to the Beatrix. I mean, it is what it is. Now with a combo, essentially, a Paquito and Beatrix can be chained together, but for EVOS, they're definitely gonna pick a suppressed hero here. I don't think they really want to deal with Naomi on a suppressed hero unless they have one of their own. So I think they're gonna try and put something in the hands of Dreams.
If you had to choose between Kaja and Franco, which hero would you choose?
Oof, that's a tough.
I would still say Kaja because
Kaja.
I don't trust my hooks enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's whether or not the hooks can prevail. But right now for EVOS, one of their win conditions is to contest that Franco pick. Along with the Terizla, this means they're solid team fight, solid disengage, essentially solid zoning from the backline. And with the hook, does Naomi want to go up against it using the Kaja, or does he want to default back to a Grok that can, you know, block some of these hooks with the power of nature?
Why Kaja in the first game, why Franco in the second? First game up against a carry. Very hard to go through that Purify. You don't know if he's going to go Purify or Flicker. Now that you're up against a Beatrix, you'll always go for Flicker. There's no way he goes Purify. And that's why you have this Franco picked up. On top of that, also this Terizla. They go for the Farsa, and they secure Clay's comfort pick. Still staying true to what gave RRQ so much power in the first week. The mid-trio.
Mid-trio right here. Early on, it was a Fredrin as well as the Grok. So for now, with the Paquito and Beatrix, they still have solid side laners, solid mid lane. It's all about the utility right now. And in a way, it's almost like they have to try and counter what EVOS is trying to do as well. We have a comment here from Zay. Best player in the first week is RRQ Naomi. He is the best.
Caster from Myanmar, yeah.
I wonder why he said that.
No, but honestly, I will have to give it to him. Naomi was absolutely stellar, though. For me, I think the best player in week 1, the guy who stood out the most was Clay, not Naomi.
What?
I would agree.
I think deserves honorable mention.
What?
What?
I don't think so. I mean, like, honorable mention, sure, but Clay.
Yeah, that's why honorable
Yeah,
mention.
you're right,
What?
you're right.
Well, coming from Jonathan Liandi as well, when Fersic plays Baxia, he somehow becomes a real monster. That real monster will not be making an appearance.
Yeah.
And in the second game right here, RRQ, no real solution right here for Fersic and for Naomi. Leaving both for the second phase, I find quite peculiar because you would think that it will be prioritized a bit more.
Yeah, still no pick here for RRQ Naomi. The standout player for week number 1 with the Kaja being taken out. It does limit his hero. There's definitely a Kufra that can still be utilized by him. If not, if it gets banned here right now, then his only option would be the Grok once again, unless he goes for something crazy like the Natalia, which really depends on that backline, which EVOS has left out.
Yeah, they wanted to be picked up. They would much rather have that compared to a Kufra. And right now, we're going to see if RRQ, what do they want to go for? No Kufra, no Kaja.
Huh. For RRQ, I think they're gonna need something like a Gauge. If they really want to try and deal with this, they can go for an Atlas maybe, because at this point, there's no way to pick a Diggy and a Franco. Even if it's a Diggy mid, the Valentina is picked up. So if they really desperately want to engage, that could be an option. The Grok, though, seems just like the more efficient, the more flexible pick. So I think RRQ might default back into that.
I really want an Atlas
Okay.
game though.
I like it. This
All
sets up
right.
for the Atlas. They go for the X-Borg first. They hide that roamer pick to the last possible pick here, and they see what EVOS Legends go for first.
So Paquito jungle.
See,
Paquito
that's where it gets a bit more complicated.
You think
KB,
X-Borg jungle?
KB, GGWP, the man himself, the analyst from Indonesia, has been spamming the X-Borg, and he says, yeah, the X-Borg's pretty good in
solid, he
jungle
says.
and an XP.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Well, Paquito in the jungle is also something that Fersic has played before, I believe. So still options available, but for EVOS, they sense a dive coming. They go for that Bane and the Brody. So this is a very short-range composition, but they have a long-range engage in the Iron Hook. So we'll see what RRQ wants to respond here, because they can either deny the hook, or they can just dive in and find ways to circumvent the deadly catch.
Yeah, it's so tough though. I think that this Bane pick is so value. RQ, it kind of denies that Atlas pick.
There is a way to counter the Atlas with the deadly catch, you're right. That displacement can really mess with RRQ's teamfight tempo if they go for that Atlas. But if it's not the Atlas, what do you go for? The Natalia, I think, is off. It's off. It's out already. There's no way they can utilize it unless he pulls off something crazy here.
What is it?
It's a Cho.
Naomi Cho. Haven't seen this in a while.
Oh boy. So pick off against pick off, but suppression against the way of the dragon. All right, well, it's a bit of a peculiar matchup, and I think it's a lot riskier for RRQ for sure. For EVOS right now, it's all about just waiting for the hook and pushing your opponents away, because with a Terizla, with a Brody, with the Valentina and Franco, you have so many ways to threaten your opponent and make them move away from the areas you want to control.
And yet still, my question hasn't been answered here, Arashi. Who's going to be in the jungle for RRQ? Is it Paquito or is it X-Borg?
I think
Knowing
it was-
Fersic, it should be Paquito. X-Borg in the EXP lane. And it does better against Terizla.
I think
So-
that's it, yeah.
Yeah? Did you see the swap?
I think
Confirmed?
I think we saw a slight bit of the swap. Well, the X-Borg will be doing a lot of true damage, like you mentioned. It's gonna be great.
Let's see here.
Against the Terizla.
Who's in the jungle?
Banana, yeah, banana
Okay.
sort of, okay.
Paquito jungle. All right, with
Lethal
that,
vision.
ladies and gentlemen, let us know your thoughts on the drafts, because we're going straight into game number 2, potentially the last game of this classic derby. RQ, they're backed in a corner. Will they be able to crawl themselves out and force a game number 3?
See the start again. Arashi, Skylar in the mid lane, clearing it out, and then going to the gold lane.
All right, well, that is certainly something that is gonna be seen a lot more right now. He loses on one minion right here, but Naomi is coming in a 2v2. They don't really win out in the early game, so they gotta be a bit careful. Skylar gets hooked in here, takes half his HP bar in damage, but look at that, in the emblems, weapon mastery still for both, and Skylar with the Swift for a bit more attack speed. That's going to be very beneficial in the lane.
Oh, good damage from Hujume, my goodness. Wins out the trade in a pretty significant way. Oh, Iron Hook getting thrown out. Clay able to dodge that one.
All right. Looking back at the emblems and the talents, I found that Hijume's choice was a little bit peculiar. Weapon Master Agility. And he goes in for the Mage base emblem for the Valentina. It's very interesting. I guess he's going for more cooldown, but there's not a lot of damage involved in there. Ooh. Maybe he's looking for a little bit more utility. That's something that we can expect him to go for later on in these pickups or even potentially the team fights. In terms of equipment, though, not much has been bought so far.
So far, just components. And the steel leg plates being built by Skylar makes a bit of sense going up against a Brody. Right now, though, I think... Oh, whoa! Out of nowhere, Fairsick knocks Hijume out.
Good read on the rotation.
What was that? Came out of nowhere. Just that rupture and the lethal ignition emblem even. Fairsick is just going all in aggressive right here. And this might be what they need, right? Because earlier Fairsick was just stuck being a bit more reactive on the Paquito. Maybe he can be doing exactly what Taz was doing in game number 1.
Exactly. It's crazy because Hijume also didn't opt for tenacity, so there's not a lot of defense in the early games that can severely be punished. And he kind of was forced to be on the Weapon Master in a way because they opted for the Brody. They need a little bit more insurance in the late game if it does come down to it. But it looks like this is a 1v all here for Arashi.
Deja vu. When have I seen this prediction before? RRQ,
it's okay,
though,
the kingdom loves you. They're all staring at you.
They
it
certainly
is
are.
what it is, man. I mean, it's no secret. It's no secret. But I do think they have potential, though, right?
Yeah.
Their draft is a lot more well-rounded compared to previously. And now Taz gets kicked.
Where the dragon, beautifully done by Naomi into the Renner's apathy. Iron Hook not connecting. If it did, Clay still had Purify anyways. EVOS Legends caught lacking in the first few minutes of the game. And even in the mid lane, Hijume loses a chunk of his HP.
But the real scare right here is the fact that the longer the game goes, there's more chances for these hooks to just land on someone. And I think it's important to try and condition Dreams from early on in the game, right? If he keeps predicting that you would go backwards, you have to read into how he's going to predict your movement and apply that, which is an extra layer of thought in the middle of your game. But there, they burned his flicker, so for a while at least, they can rest quite easy.
For sure, but the question is there enough damage to follow that up just yet, right? Because even if, let's say, he lands on a hook, there's not enough combo in the composition that EVOS have brought. He's not with a Farsa, he's with something like the Valentina, who's not exactly bursty in that sense. But wait a minute, Banana forces that ultimate here just to get away.
Whoa, defensive last insanity with the last second dash as well from losing that Firaga armor. Dreams didn't count for that, and RRQ are just taking the lead. 2,000 gold lead now already. Naomi looking for the way. The Dragon goes over to Jikundo first, now kicks him back. The Brand is able to flick around for the airstrike, responded over. Bennett's Rage to go on the Angel Man. Torn apart memory though, connects. That's a good side step from Clay, with the Purify used up as well.
Wow. It's counter play by EVOS, and that is timed perfectly for the Turtle as well. RRQ, they're gonna lose out here unless Fairsick wants to try and do something.
No.
That might put them way too behind though, so they probably let it go, which is a bit of an improvement. Because usually RRQ, one of their signature trademark moves is losing one member and then trying to outplay for V5. Showing a bit of maturity, a bit of discipline right here. Letting go the Turtle and going back to the initial game plan. Looking for more pickups.
Yeah, and technically RRQ, Fairsick has a level ahead of Taz earlier on. Now they're both at 8, but that was because after that Turtle take that level it out. But you go the hook!
Bloody Hunt coming down, not enough damage to take him out. It's actually Dreams who gets punished. Naomi with a very good escape, disengage, and now RRQ set their sights on that tier 1 in the gold lane. The Beer's Passion stolen away. Brand's trying to clear out the waves now. Hijume going back in, able to zone RRQ away from the turret. And EVOS Legends have defended quite well for their tier 1.
That's what's going to happen whenever EVOS engages with the Franco when the Tarizla and the Bane isn't in the building. Right? Because there's no one to prevent everyone else from just barreling onto the Franco and turning it on him instead.
And now Fairsick and Clay. The punish is absolutely phenomenal from RRQ, understanding what to go for here, and that's a mid lane tier 1, even more value than the top lane tier 1. Dreams gets sniped down. Bottom lane, there's an attempt of a trade, but EVOS Legends have lost out completely in this one.
Yeah, 1,700 gold lead already here built in by RRQ. The fact that they've been able to get a lot more objectives on the map, those two turrets, in that mid lane, that is going to signify that they have a little bit more room to work around in these rotations. And you can see it being translated here. Already some promise here in the top side, but they have to be careful. Look at the rotations from Hijume, Fluffy, and Brands. They're all the way in the top side. They're looking for something here. They're looking to trade things back.
To get spotted though, that's what we're talking about. If they want to engage, they need everyone in, to be part of the party.
Oh.
Right here for RRQ, it's just a great situation, and they're taking away all of the objectives, but now control over the turtle area is held by EVOS, and they're bursting it down.
Deadly Catch used up, Taz secures it. Naomi with the conceal. Oh. Able to find only Dreams though, cancelled down. Naomi now taken very low, still able to escape. Fluffy in the back. Oh, what? Brands with a fadeaway. Iron Hook now coming down. Bloody Hunt locking Banana as the turret falls up top. But EVOS have taken a turtle and 2 members of RRQ down.
That is unfortunate for sure. RRQ, they landed the Jeet Kundo onto Brands, but they were unable to get the way of the dragon. And I was just saying, Naomi, he was doing a great job just avoiding sitting in default locations in the bush, switching it up so that Dreams doesn't get any easy hooks. But with that sequence of plays, one turret finally gets taken by EVOS Legends. RRQ, they are losing the early game advantage, and in the late game, a bit more of a 50-50. It's not a guaranteed win for either side, I believe.
Do you not think, with RRQ having Clay as well as Skylar in comparison to Brands?
Well, there's the Valentina and the Bane, though. Those two heroes in the late game, on top of the fact that they have a more reliable engage or a more spammable engage with the Iron Hook, I think makes it quite dead even. It all will come down to the execution. And in game number 1, EVOS got the better of RRQ. So let's take a look at a bit of the items. Malefic Roar and Hunter Strike for Fairsick means that any squishy heroes unfortunate enough to be in front of him will get instantly deleted.
Don't forget, Arashi, the more reliable way to deal damage. I think EVOS Legends has that in the later stage of the game. They have proper dive to penetrate or to distract RRQ's back line. For Skylar and Clay, they're going to have to work some overtime here to evade from all the CC coming their way. Fluffy, Hijume, and Dreams, they're all going to be looking for that back line. Naomi, ooh, flicker from Hijume up top, tier 1 taken out. And EVOS Legends have equalized in the objective department, only now lacking a mid lane tier 1.
Literally, the gold has dissipated. That gold lead, only 800 here, with Taz picking up the BOD on top of it, so a little bit more damage for him to work with. One of the things that I really wanted to talk about was Banana's build. He goes in for the Ice Queen wand early, instead of going for something that gives him a little bit more sustainability or even the Immortal.
Well, the Ice Queen one right now gives a bit of spell lifesteal, so it helps him in that area. And technically with the Brave Smite, he can be a bit more sustainable. And the idea of this X-Borg is just for him to just kite back again and again. But with Fluffy already in the building, the backline can't be safe at all.
But it's Rage coming down. Fluffy though with the penalty zone locking. Skylar out. Last Insanity now coming down. Able to dish out some damage. Brands with a torn apart memory. Taking them low, but no, not taking anyone out. Clay very low. RRQ, even though they have more members, they don't have enough HP bars. They don't have enough resources to contest for this. Some of their members already recalling. No Banana for the next fight. EVOS Legends aside, to disengage and to look for turrets instead.
Ooh, very disciplined for both of these teams. No one really forcing the issue here. Naomi gets chunked just a little bit by the damage coming out from Hijume, but in that regard, it feels like EVOS Legends got the upper hand. They trade a hero for a turret, something that's permanent. And whoa.
Fancy.
Calm down, Dreams, calm down.
And Clay used the Purify though. It didn't connect, but Clay used the Purify. That's a big resource. Now Fluffy has a better entrance into the team fight.
And look at the bottom side on the EXP lane. The wave is stacking to try and push towards RRQ. The minion equilibrium just favoring EVOS at every turn. RRQ needs to make something happen or back away right now.
Deadly catch used up. Naomi trying to go for the kick, but it's already too late. Taz still secures it. Meanwhile, Fluffy in the back still able to sustain. Meanwhile, Naomi gonna be chunked down, taken out by Brands. 1-for-1. Roamer for XP. RRQ gonna go straight into her with a jump forward to take Clay down. Taz once again with a bounce. Banana with a flicker out. Dreams looking for that iron hook. Gets punished by the Bennett's Rage. Taz is looking for a turret, but they've already gone the Lord.
No way, 2 members taken out. Taz gonna use the deadly catch to get that damage onto the turret, and that turret will fall. 2,000 gold lead here for EVOS Legends as they completely turn it around with that team fight. And the Lord is still marching on the top side. There's gonna be more things falling down here for EVOS if RRQ don't have a say in what happens next.
On a silver lining though, they do have a lot more high ground, the Beatrix and the Farsa. Wow, that was very, very close. But they can defend this quite reliably, but they can't keep losing team fights like this. The Terizla and the Brody combo is just way too annoying. They will be able to clear out the Lord and defend their base turrets, but for how long? The jungle just falls victim to the clutches of EVO's Tigers strike back.
Slow down the pace is what EVOS Legends wants to do. The way they're taking this game has been very different to game number 1. Game number 1, very slow start. Even in the mid game, it was RRQ making the moves, but now, EVOS Legends, now you can really see that they are no longer that slow starter team that just gets ahead in the later stage. No, now they have a better understanding of the game, of their composition, of when the power spikes hit. Right as the mid-game power spike hit, EVOS Legends started to be more proactive, started to punish RRQ, where they overextend.
Right now,
Interested because, sorry to cut you off there, Arashi, that Feather Airstrike, it didn't deal too much damage despite already having that Clock of Destiny and that Lightning Truncheon. It barely touched Hijime. How is that possible?
well, I think with the Lightning Truncheon, I think it did okay amount of damage. It's just not as much as we're used to, but look at that, Banana.
Ultimate! 3-man penalty zone, and all the resources have just been used by RRQ to disengage. Purify already used up by Clay again. Big resource spent up. Dreams has the flicker. Naomi trying to run. Ooh, very close. But that iron hook. I think it's because there's no penetration yet. No Genius Wand, no Divine Glaive, and for most of EVOS Legends' members, they have tough boots. No, Rashi?
They have a lot of tough boots for sure, knowing that there's a lot of crowd control. Pick-off attempts gonna be heading their way. But for EVOS right now, the real hero of the story is Fluffy on the Terizla, man. Every time, he just blocks everyone away, and that allows Brands to just get free hits again and again. 3-0 and 1, he is essentially untouched in the middle of the fight. Even with the true damage coming in from the X-Borg, it's not nearly enough to deal with how tanky Fluffy gets, especially the lower he gets, right? Without any burst damage, it's going to be way too difficult.
You're right here. EVOS, though, still holding that 2,800 gold lead so far. And interesting, thank you for pointing that out. So Brody built tenacity in his talent choice, so that's why he's a little bit more sustainable going against the damage from play without the penetration items. That makes sense. And with that, does RRQ have what it takes to win this 5v5 Lord Dance?
They have to skip Fluffy and go straight for Brands or Hijime or Taz at this point. There's no way.
Oh!
Oof.
Go Purify.
Purify. Fortunately, still available, but again, they cannot. There's no way they can both and still win the fight afterwards. They need to just ignore him and find ways to get to the back line. With the wave pushing for the side of RRQ in the bottom side, this could be the opportunity that they need. EVOS, though, recognizes that, and they're going for something aggressive.
Naomi's looking for a pick right now. Has a G Kundo. Taz going for 50-50. It's Skylar who steals it away. The Torn Part memory was used up, but Skylar's still free hitting in the back. Hijime now in the midst of it all. Banana taking low. Flickers out to safety. Dreams wants to go for the iron hook, but Skylar knows the limits. He flickers out of it, and RRQ, they've taken a big dub. 1 kill, 1 Lord.
Wow, man, that's just so clean from RRQ. And you said it, Skylar. Most gold in the game right here by UBS Gold. Ooh. He was able to just use a preemptive Nibiru's Passion to just zone everyone from EVOS away. It almost took out Taz, but Taz, again, showing great awareness in the middle of all the heat of battle. He was able to just step back and, you know, reestablish themselves. Now against a Lord, RRQ, they have range, but EVOS can't cancel it out. So it's all about the mind games here. Who does what first?
We'll see who does what first here as Naomi goes in for a pickoff onto Fluffy.
But it's Rage Bay the Dragon locking him down. 1 member out. before anything begun. Now Naomi loses immortality, still value for RRQ. They have the enhanced Lord. Oof, with no frontliner, this will definitely help and benefit the Kings of Kings, who are now taken down to tier 2 in the mid lane. Tier 2 in the bottom should follow next, but EVOS Legends should be able to keep these base turrets up.
They have control right here, but the question is, what can they do with it? If they wait for the next Lord, it's going to be the same story, sort of, again and again. But now with both teams reduced to just the base turrets, this means that the whole area of the Land of Dawn is available for a cat and mouse game, a chase between the Tigers and the Kings of Kings. In that sense, it really does favor RRQ with more mobility. They can kite back away and, you know, move back and forth, whereas EVOS, they're very reliant on getting a really decisive engage, especially with the penalty zone.
And now the tension begins. That gold lead is gone from both of these teams. Things have equalized the number of turrets, 3 inhibitor standing for both of these teams. If we take a look at the items, there is a little bit of a lead from Skylar, but at this point, it seems like Brands only needs a little bit more to get that Athena shield, which is what he was going for. A little bit more sustain in these team fights, especially with Clay's damage and his penetration item in the Divine Glaive already built up as well.
I feel like initially, RRQ, they're going to play for a front-to-back composition, right? Very good long-range damage and solid front line. But at this point, I feel like the better bet for them is to just make sure that the penalty zone does not land on multiple people. If they can get to the back line, there's no way Brands can match the damage output of Skylar, for example. And Hijime, unless he steals the Feather Airstrike, can't match the damage output of Clay as well. So for RRQ, the messier the fight gets, actually, they do have a bit more value in that sense.
They're also outranged, so RRQ can poke them down slowly but surely. Feathered Airstrike renders apathy. Naomi with the conceal knows Brands is there, but look at Dreams and Hijime. A good splash to cancel out the conceal play.
No way!
Oh, no way! Skylar Dreams! Wow! EVOS Legends, you count them out, and that's when they make the plays happen. Out of all the members who clumped up, how did he find Skylar? The Indonesian nightmare.
I saw it. Skylar was trailing behind everyone else, which is why I screamed, no way, before it hit, and it did. EVOS Legends coming back, taking out the main damage leader from RRQ. This is truly a huge moment here as they completely turn the tables around once again.
Skylar just not respecting the fact that Dreams has his signature hero, the Franco, in his hands. That was really unfortunate. Let's take a look at the instant replay by the Samsung Galaxy S23 series. Look at that. He was the last guy in the back.
Oh.
That cannot happen, man. Against a Franco, you need someone there, or you need to just dash out or do something. There's no way you can expect him to just watch your back and back away. But look at this Lord pushing in the mid side.
Spectacular defense from the Kings of Kings. Now Banana trying to burn Fluffy back, trying to zone him away. Hijime doing the same thing, but to RRQ. Mid lane base turret taken low with the bottom lane as well, but RRQ are still able to micromanage. They have very good high ground wave clear.
Wow, they don't penetrate at all. 3 lanes are still going to be crashing here. Mid is going to come down first. Are they going to get it with the deadly catch? There's a little bit more damage. But no, it doesn't fall.
Oh, look, Banana. He was able to hold on to the mini waves. Now last insanity coming down. Brands should be taken down with a flicker as well. Brands, he buys the immortality right in time here. He's able to survive for a bit. Banana still cutting him down. Sort of our memory going to be used up right now, but Brands will lose his life. Fluffy finds a 4-man penalty zone, but that will be it. No further engagement for both EVOS and RRQ. But there's 2 members down for the Tigers, and the RRQ Kingdom are now chanting Viva RRQ.
30 seconds for RRQ to try and make something happen, but they're stuck on damage control. The Lord won't be up for a long time after this. Seems like RRQ are trying to go for the top turret as much as possible, but I don't think they can do it against a Bane, against a Valentina. This might just be a great moment that results in not much. The mid wave is pushing though. We'll see if RRQ maybe can orchestrate some kind of dive. Oh, look at the truncheon.
That's a mistake. Taz now brought back to the team. He buys the immortality in time, but is it going to be enough to save this game? Taz taken out. Immortality. Oh, good hook there onto Fersing. Takes his life out. Feather Airstrike comes down, and despite Taz's big mistake, It's still EVOS Legends coming back on top. When the nature built up. Dreams loses the immortality to the burn. Wow.
Wow, just mistakes back and forth shows you again the stakes, the pressure that both these teams are facing right now. With 2 base turrets down, without the range advantage, RRQ, they might have just secured the exact lead they needed for the next Lord. Keep in mind, 20 seconds, when the Lord is up, Taz will be on the way from the base. So RRQ, they can count on a 5v4 engagement and deny EVOS the setup they so desperately need right now.
But the problem is both of these teams, they don't have their jungler. Right, Taz is going to be up in just a little bit, but so is Fursic. Fursic on the Pokito should be able to rotate quick as well. It's going to come back down to that 50-50 once again between both of these teams. How are they going to set up first? How are they going to control and do their housekeeping better than the other? With Valentina already pushing in that top side, RRQ, they're going to be forced to deal with that for now. Bane, Taz already trying to clear out that bottom lane as well. Trying to get a little bit more pressure as Dreams looks for some more information alongside with Fluffy. The tension is building between both of these teams. There's a reason why they call this matchup the El Clasico, or now the Classical Derby. EVOS and RRQ, look at the way that they are posturing one another. Look at Naomi. Look at where Bronze and Skylar is too.
Just a difference in posturing, difference in formation, and when to set up the traps. It's dangerous for both teams, but at this point, there's no way you can get high benefit without high risk. You can see that Skylar exposes himself in the mid lane. The top lane, by the way, is slow pushing in favor of RRQ. If they can just stall long enough, EVOS will be forced to send someone to respond. It might be Fluffy. That might be the pickup they're going for.
Oh, it gets cancelled out though. That stun from Brands. Now Naomi is concealed. No! Iron Hook brings him back. The Torn Apart memory used up. Naomi loses immortality. Deadly Catch coming out with the penalty zone as well. The zone Banana for the airstrike now onto the back. But now it's going to be Banana, or Fairstick rather, who's able to stun him up, who's able to disengage. RRQ survived the onslaught of claws, of roars. But EVOS Legends have ultimately won in this Lord pit, and they will go at it on the Lord.
It was so unfortunate, RRQ, that Naomi messed up that engage. The fact that they were able to outmaneuver and outplay it. That was close. Hijome was not supposed to get that Lord. Luckily, it was still for EVOS. But, oh man, my heart dropped a little bit, and I can hear the gas in the venue as well.
That retry, yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Well, it was Hijome who got it. But yeah, that definitely looked very scary. I think Fairstick was the one who retried.
Fairstick?
Look at the cooldowns.
Well, early there, I don't think he was close enough, but maybe it was. I mean, the high mobility of RRQ, that was a risky call for EVOS, but they gambled on it, and it did pay off. Now with the Lord, can they just break through the high ground? They need to find a way to get to the back line. If Fluffy now, without the flicker, can reach Clay, can reach Skylar, this could be the exact moment where the game gets decided. The hook does not land, another airstrike gets used up.
They're not grouping up with the Lord right now. The Vault Lord has been dealt with. The Kings of Kings are still holding on to this game. 3.4K gold lead, 23 minutes in. The Classic Derby will never disappoint.
23 minutes, man. We're almost at a 25-minute game between both of these teams. Unfortunately, those waves didn't pop off at the right time together. It didn't hit at the right time. RRQ still able to defend. But now, with that top lane, it looks like they're going to go for more.
Oh, he finds Clay. No Purify now. Naomi in the back. Naomi! With the way of the dragon onto Brands. Fluffy with the penalty zone in the front right now, forcing the winner truncheon away. Fluffy now caught all alone, but is still able to walk out. No Brands for EVOS Legends. RRQ, they've got a good trade in.
60 seconds, 55, 50 right now for Brands to be back on the map. This is a huge window for RRQ to get control, set up traps, set up the minion waves, because if you look at the base turrets, unfortunately for RRQ, it really favors EVOS because the bottom lane, the EXP lane, is where the wave is going to continually shove for EVOS, and the Lord is on the top side. It's very convenient for them. RRQ, if they want to bank on the next Lord, they need to try and set this up somehow, some way, so that it pushes towards EVOS instead. Banana though.
That might be it, man. Banana, forced to flicker out. He doesn't have the immortality. Deadly Catch coming down with a Feather Airstrike as well. No flicker on Banana. That's a massive resource. That's one of the resources that gave them the opportunity to take Brands out. Remember, that was a chance for RRQ to go for it. But now, it has disappeared. It's now back to another 50-50.
Yeah, Brands is going to be back in just a moment. At the real-time win probability by the Samsung Galaxy S23 Series 5G does favor RRQ by 66%, but it couldn't be more even. There's definitely a lot more to work with for RRQ because of the fact that Arashi mentioned about that bottom side of pushing. And it really comes back down to that resource allocation. We saw that Taz utilize his deadly catch for damage onto the towers. So when RRQ go for an engage, like we saw Naomi do, there wasn't much room for them to stave off that pressure. Hence, Brands getting picked off first. Hopefully, that Taz can hold on to it just a little bit more for it to be a little bit more valuable in these team fights.
Look at RRQ and how many people they are forced to send down there just in case EVOS is waiting. With Banana spotting out multiple members of EVOS, they find the confidence to move over to the mid lane. They're pushing it right now, and they are the ones aggressing EVOS. They're backing away from this, but at the same time, they're just letting RRQ get, overconfident, move forward into that Iron Hook. That is what they're waiting for. Dreams has been absolutely lethal with this spell, and they are just counting on that to just change the game again and again. It has worked so far, it will work again for them.
Hopefully, because Naomi's been a constant threat as well. The way that he's able to flank, find those moments has been so expensive. But it looks like they are going to be retreating. They want to control that bottom lane first. Very similar to how you described it, Arashi. It's going exactly the way that you mentioned. But still, do they know where Naomi is?
I don't think they do. Not yet. But for EVOS Legends, fortunately for them, this fight is going to be good for them. They have the top side. The far lane is where RRQ does not have a base turret, and that's always going to be slow pushing, so it gives EVOS Legends a bit of an advantage in this side to contest the Lord. That's why you've been seeing Naomi constantly just acting as a bodyguard for Skylar.
But on the same time, if you can actually get a pick off right here away of the Dragon, that's still essentially the same combo with the Franco, right? A suppression into a full burst. They see Skylar in the bottom side right here, but they don't have the confidence yet to just go for the Lord. With so much at stake right here, 27 minutes, my God. Finally, you can see that there's a wave advantage for RRQ. They're trying to get advantage with it. Naomi almost gets hooked though.
It's all about that bottom lane, how they play the far lane. Look at Heedram's control over it. He doesn't clear it instantly. He knows that the wave will build up to RRQ. EVOS Legends now, their job is, wow, Naomi, clean sidesteps. But for EVOS, they're just going to take it slow. As long as they stop RRQ from forcing it, I think EVOS Legends will win.
So close though.
This is the problem, man. They're just waiting for the hook to land. And whereas for Naomi, there's no way you can go in like that.
I think Fluffy's going for something though, Arashi.
Might be. He's just trying to make sure he gets some kind of vision, some kind of intelligence on that Lord. Gets it reset as well. Both just doing a great Lord dance right here. And you can see that for Clay and Skylar, the threat of the Iron Hook is making them so reluctant to move up to try and do some poke damage. So even though they have the range advantage right here, EVOS, they're still the ones with, the aggressing posture. Naomi is still being in this bush for so long. Not a single Iron Hook has landed, but at any moment, the moment that hook lands, that could spell the end for this 29-minute game.
Yeah, it's a ticking time bomb, ladies and gentlemen. Savor the tension between both of these teams. It's gonna come back down to judgment, discipline, as well as patience. If they go for a wrong engage, that could serve as the end for their team. And like you see there, it's Beatrix forcing to go for an engage, and they see it!
Skylar's in the bottom lane, that's why they go for it. Banana has lost his Viraga armor. And again, the ball is in EVOS Legends' court. They can play as long as they want to, because that bottom lane, that far lane, will have to be cleared out by RRQ. Now they're gonna go in. They know the export has recalled. They know this is the time to strike. Iron Hook from Dreams! Right onto Naomi with the penalty zone to zone him away. Naomi's still able to survive. Deadly catch used up. A lot of resources burnt. Bottom lane still slow pushing. EVOS Legends reset. Conceal from RRQ. They're mirroring sides. Mid lane now the focus for RRQ. They're looking for a chance, a way, an opening back in the game.
Oh no, Forsick!
Fluffy brought back to the team with the way the Dragon as well. Connecting now. Banana gets hooked. Fluffy buys the Winter Truncheon, activates it here, but he will lose his life. Fluffy gunned down. Banana able to escape with the Viraga armor, bursts it down. Bottom wave still pushing in. 1-0. RRQ!
Oh. Ooh, my heart dropped just a little bit. That almost connected onto Naomi. But again, this is going to favor, this is going to give RRQ a huge advantage. Still 60 seconds left on the clock for Fluffy. There's no source of S-gauge, but that hook nearly lands onto Skylar. It's too intense. Mirko Arashi. Naomi just needs one opportunity, one more. But even without that RRQ, they have the space.
Dreams of the bloody hunt. No damage coming down, only the deadly catch there to help him. Not enough to take Naomi down. Naomi has produced a miracle for RRQ. These pickoffs, these sidesteps. Another iron hook onto Banana. He has the Piraga armor. He's not at risk. Tournament memory used that. Banana escapes from it. That death onto Fluffy has given RRQ the Evolved Lord. 31 minutes in. Can EVOS Legends defend?
A fact that we haven't been mentioning is the fact that RRQ, they were resetting the Lord every time someone was sent over to clear the far side of the map. That was just so good, and they played around Banana's Firaga armor so perfectly. With the Lord right now, this is a make or break situation, man. EVOS, they have damage, but if they focus too much on the Lord, Naomi is looking for an opportunity, waiting in the wings for something to happen.
Naomi's dangerous. RRQ have the range as well. Can EVOS defend this? They need to count on Taz as well with a deadly catch. Let's hope that it's enough.
Fluffy's holding in the front right now, still able to sustain for now. Tournament memory going to be used up. Then it's Rage coming down as well with a deadly catch. They're trying to stop the waves from crashing into the base. Fluffy now taking very low, passing the winner truncheon. In the back is for the airstrike coming down, and it should just be an equalizer here. Dreams getting gunned down, Banana with the last insanity. RRQ 1-1.
RRQ force a game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is what we call the classical derby.
Wow.
We wouldn't have it any other way. Both of these teams